Hello. Thanks for having me here. Thanks for asking me, Pamela. So I love how Paul started off his sermon last week, and so I wanted to copy him word for word. This is the fifth sermon of our Lenten series in which we are exploring the seven traditional Christian sacraments. These are visible signs of invisible truths about God's love. And I am speaking about the sacrament of healing. So here we go. I've wanted to start off by saying that you have permission to love this sermon, and I hope you do, but you also have permission not to. Right now in my healing journey, this is where I have landed, and I hope that as I continue my healing journey, that I keep pushing the limits of my understanding of who God is and my place in this world. As I continue this human existence, my humanity will take me through many different experiences to reveal to me how loved and how accepted I am. Some of these experiences I will feel pain and hurt and heartbreak, as well as bliss and complete unconditional love. I feel I am both human and spirit, existing together. The spirit part of me is always connected to God, to the divine, and to the mystery. My humanity experiences bliss, connection, but also disconnection. My goal is to take every opportunity to heal in order to feel closer and more connected to my source. What I have found to be the easiest way to access healing is through my relationships. The relationships I have with my parents, my husband, my children, my friends, my boss, the person driving down the road who gave me a dirty look, the store clerk who wouldn't return my item at the cosmetic store, and the relationship I also have to myself. So, what is healing? I have a definition, or one definition. It is the evidence that God is here. And what I mean by that is when you have a healing moment, when you are freed from a facade or a perspective that is limiting, and all of a sudden your boundaries expand and you feel so much love, you feel understood, you feel cared for. I feel like that's an experience that you can hold. That's your evidence of love of God. So I just want to talk a little bit about my healing journey. So each healing journey or experience that I've had leads me closer to God, closer to love, and closer to accepting myself. This topic is quite close to my heart as I feel that my life's work is my healing journey. It started back when I was a little girl, listening to my church talk about how Jesus healed the sick and rose people from the dead. I was fascinated with it and would pray for healing for people in my life. My mom was one person I prayed for a lot. She was really sick my whole life. She struggled with migraine headaches that would create a bit of a shutdown effect in our family. She would get a headache and our house would go silent and it would be very dark. Like the lighting would be very dark. My poor mother was in excruciating pain and it was quite frequent. She saw doctors and specialists, and our pastor would come over to the house to pray for her. She would get prophetic words, try new vitamins and prescription medications. I won't go into too much detail about my mom's journey, but what I could see from my vantage point was that she was not getting better, and she and my family suffered. I was told that these migraines were hereditary and that my mom's mom had them, my mom's sister had them, and so me and my sister were potentially going to get them as well. I remember my mom saying that she would cut us off from her bloodline. That was her prayer, so that hereditary sickness wouldn't translate to me and my sister. As I look back over my life, I've been quite physically healthy. It surprises me sometimes because my mom was always so sick. She not only had migraines to deal with, but she also had every organ in her body removed that you can live without. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like her appendix, her gallbladder, one of her ovaries, and her uterus. So I wondered if it was just my genes. Was I just lucky that I didn't have these physical complications? And then I started to think about my mom's life and my childhood and the differences. She grew up in a home where her mom was very sick, in and out of the hospital all through her growing up years. And her dad was an alcoholic who was quite absent during her life. My life had some of the same circumstances. My mom was very sick and unavailable at times. But the difference is I had the most loving and supportive dad. He listened to me. He would sing to me as I fell asleep. He would explain to me what was going on with my mom and how it wasn't fair that we had to tiptoe around the house and be so silent so we wouldn't wake her up. We talked about how my mom was in pain, and we would forgive her, even though it wasn't her fault, but because it wasn't fun living like this. We were real about the hard times, and it validated my feelings and made me feel known and understood. These practices of forgiveness and being honest and real about how I feel are still very present in my life, and I attribute them to my parents, who knew that my sister and I would need healing from our childhood experiences. So although I didn't have any real physical health problems, I have struggled with what I now know is mental health issues. I've had anxiety and panic attacks from a very young age. I remember my first panic attack. I was 8 years old, and it felt like I couldn't breathe. It was terrifying, and my dad, who also struggled with panic attacks his whole life, came and he sat with me, and he wasn't afraid. He was very calm, and he just talked to me about our summer that we were going to have. And before I knew it, my breathing had relaxed, and I felt calm, and I could go back to sleep. My Christian upbringing led me to understand these panic attacks and intense anxiety as attacks from the enemy, that I should pray and have faith that God would heal me of this. It was quite a scary thought to think that I was being attacked by demonic forces, which then brought on more anxiety. I had the image in my head that I was fighting a battle and it was high stakes, and I couldn't let the enemy win. I became very fearful and would attach to all sorts of scary and obscure thoughts, thinking that either God was trying to tell me something, or the enemy, or maybe it was just my sinful self. The interesting thing that I've come to realize after living with panic attacks and anxiety the majority of my life is that yes, God is trying to tell me something. And yes, I am trying to tell myself something, but not what I thought it was. Sometimes a panic attack comes on for no reason, and what God is trying to tell me or show me is that I am okay. I am okay even when I don't feel that I am okay. I am okay. I can breathe, I can be in this space, and I can find peace. The gift has expanded into other areas of my life, creating space for me to feel connected to God, to my source, to myself, like I would not have if I had not felt so desperate. Sometimes a panic attack comes on because I have too much stress in my life, and I need to address it. It's an alarm bell that sounds when I have been neglecting my needs, even putting others' needs before my own and running myself dry. Panic attacks have become something that I don't fight against anymore, but rather use as a gift to lead me to health and connection to myself, God, and others. So why do we resist healing? Well, healing is not easy work, not that I've experienced, and it doesn't always feel good. Our mind may want to resist it and stay where it is familiar, where it knows what to expect. Allowing the healing process to start is scary, and we don't know what direction it will take, or what we will uncover, or what hard feelings we will encounter. Leaning in is hard, but sometimes it can be the anticipation that's the hardest part, and actually letting go and surrendering is quite natural and freeing. Like working out, or so I'm told, the hardest part is actually getting to the gym, or if you're a runner, putting on your shoes. And then when you actually get out there and start running or get to the gym, then it gets easier and you just start to feel amazing. So my pain or my sickness or my healing journey has taught me a lot. Just 1 second. There we go. So what do I mean about leaning in? So When I say leaning in, I mean interpreting the discomforts of life as a gift that happens for you to heal, or as my counselor says, upgrade. Here's an example. I have a friend who rubbed me the wrong way. Some days it was hard to be around them, and some days it was really great. I interpreted this friend as being quite volatile, and I would avoid them when I could sense that they were grumpy, and I would find myself really enjoying being around them when it looked like they were in a good mood. I was irritated with this person at times. I wished that they were different. I would try to figure out where I was wrong and where they were wrong. I was looking at the situation really at face value. I would get upset and frustrated. But then I've come to see that you can look at these situations differently. Leaning in means asking myself, why does this bother me so much? Why does this person, why is this situation so irritating? Is there something in here for me to heal, to learn? And so I tune in and I ask God to show me what's going on in this situation. And it turns out that these feelings that I have towards my friend are familiar feelings. I have felt them in the past. As a child, I lived with a mother who was sick and dealing with lots of emotional issues, who would be wonderful and loving and supportive one minute, and then grumpy and sort of difficult to be around the next minute. And so as a child, I internalized this and thought that something was wrong with me, that I was bad, that I was wrong, or no, my mom was bad and she was wrong. And in my limited childhood mind, I tried to figure out who to blame. And then as an adult, I kept that childhood reaction and applied it to current circumstances, often overreacting. So now that I realize that this feeling doesn't originate with my friend, it originated from my childhood experiences, I can then tune in to that inner child in me and offer her understanding and comfort. This changes both my heart and helps me to heal, but it also helps my relationship with my friend and my relationship with my mother, seeing things for how they really are, everyone doing their best, and where I am left wanting, God and myself fill in the gaps. I wanted to share another story with you about how I lean in. I was really sick a couple years back. It was the worst flu I've had. The doctors thought I may have had pneumonia. I was so discouraged because I felt sick for almost 3 weeks straight, coughing all night, keeping Ben up. August was about 2 years old, so we were all very exhausted still at that parenting stage. I was so desperate to feel better. I was run down, feeling defeated, like I was doing everything I could to get better, but nothing was working, and both Ben and I were sick, so it was just really difficult. And so I decided to go up to my room and meditate. I felt this desire to ask my body, what are you telling me? What can I learn from this situation? And I remember sitting in my bed, and my body just started to rock from side to side. And I just tuned in and I asked God, what are you showing me? And I could see that I was holding the hands of my dad and my mom. And when I would look at either of them, I could see only love, only acceptance from both of them. And it was so healing. And I know we all know that parent and child relationships are far from perfect. And sometimes the only feelings that you can feel from your parents are judgment or disappointment. You just don't feel like you're good enough. And being around them it impacts who we are. But in that moment, I think because I was just so sick and I was just in a very open state, it wasn't that God made me sick or that it was the plan for me to be sick, but using that experience to tune in and to just feel so open. And so I did, and I just ate it up. I just let it heal me and make me feel just their love. And so now when I'm around them, and our interactions are less than perfect, which often in relationships they are, I can just tune back into that feeling and know that in their highest self, when we're not in our dramas, when we're not in our pain, we're not acting those things out because we all have them, we're human, that we all just have so much love. We have God inside of us, and so we can feel that love from each other. And anyway, it was very healing to feel that from my parents. So that's kind of a bit of a prelude to some of the healing practices that I have now, but I just want to talk about a couple of them. One is having a support system. So a community of people who are willing and able to help you in your healing journey is a real gift. A friend, a partner, a therapist, a parent, a book club, or a coworker, or basically being able to share your heart and your pain with someone is helpful. Someone who holds space for you, meaning that they don't have the answers you seek. They simply hold space for you to seek, for you to ask questions, for you to share your heart and mind and wait until you find your answers. My friend shared with me a prayer called A Medicine Woman's Prayer by Cherie Bliss Tilsley, and it reads, I will not rescue you, for you are not powerless. I will not fix you, for you are not broken. I will not heal you, for I see you in your wholeness. I will walk with you through the darkness as you remember your light. If a friend is not available or there is no one you feel comfortable talking to, then I would suggest talking to yourself. This is a bit of a novel idea for me since I'm an extrovert and a verbal processor. But recently I was really struggling to keep up with the demands of life, and I felt like I was drowning and just keeping my head above water, and I wasn't really sure how to do it, but my internal critic was just saying, you need to do better, like, you need to figure it out. And so I decided to get up early, even though I could have used the extra sleep, and go downstairs before anyone else was awake, and I would make myself a cup of tea and light a candle and do a meditation, and I would journal. Just a page, and I would just write, and I would share to myself about the struggles that I was having, how I was feeling like I didn't know how to get this all done. But basically I was telling my nervous system, the system inside of me that feels quite ramped up and on overdrive, that it's okay, you can take a breath, you can take a break, I'm here for you, I'm listening to your problems and holding space for you. I felt supported. My perspective started to change, and I was able to feel like I was not powerless in my situation, but that I had choices to make, and those choices helped move me towards this feeling of peace that I was cultivating every morning. Another one of my healing practices is tending to my inner child. I'll talk a bit about this story. I did talk a bit about this story when I was referring to my friend who rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm sure a lot of you have maybe already heard of this, so I'll just give a quick explanation. But if anybody wants to come and talk to me about it later, this is my jam. I love talking about healing, and I could talk about it every day, all day. So please come and find me. So through my life, I've come to realize that I have a nurture deficiency, in particular a female nurture deficiency. My mom was sick and in bed and unable to meet those needs. Preparing for this sermon, I have taken stock of the female nurture supports I currently have in my life, and I feel incredibly blessed. I have some of the richest female relationships that feed my soul and nurture me. My soul longed for female connection, and God provided that for me. But that hurt little girl who was without the nurture she needed is still inside of me. But she's a gift to me. She speaks up when I contort myself to be liked and accepted. She lets me know when life has become unmanageable and I need to spend some time taking care of myself. And the way that I often feel this is in a somatic way, so within the body. And what I mean by that is sometimes I'll get a headache, or my chest will get tight, or my throat will feel tight. And more recently, actually, I felt it in my stomach, where I can feel the muscles in my belly tightening and I'm bracing for something. And then I'm left often feeling sore and tired. And so I let these messages alert me that something is wrong and I need to attend to it. I quiet myself and I tune in and I ask her, what do you need? I'm quite a visual person, so often I'll see an image in my head of me, 6 years old, sitting in my bedroom, and maybe I'm afraid, or maybe I'm scared, or maybe something's happened in my life and I'm not sure. And what I then do is I go to her and I say, what do you need? And often she'll say to me things like, I just want to know that you're with me. I want to know that you're going to stay here and you're not going to leave. And I've heard this sort of called reparenting, because as children, no matter what your circumstances are, all of our needs are never fully met. It could be from a perspective. It could be because as children, we're just interpreting everything as our fault or the world centered around us. And as an adult, we can recognize now that that's just not the case. And so go back, love on that little girl, and let her know that I'm here for her. And I found a lot of healing through that. And so I believe that healing is the evidence that God is here, that love is here. And as we heal, we accept our limits. So we expand, and our limits increase, and we are freed to be ourselves, free to make mistakes and feel grace, free to forgive and to change our perspective and become more God-like. So I'm going to ask Ben to come up and play some piano. And I was wondering if you would all like to do a little activation with me, or meditation or prayer. We can really use whatever word we want. So Ben's going to play some piano. And if you want to, you can just close your eyes. You don't have to, but if you want to, just close your eyes and take some deep breaths. Just let your breath connect you to Spirit, to God, to the divine. You can become aware of any pain or discomfort you have in your body. And if you don't have any pain, you could connect to a symptom, or maybe a feeling, or maybe it's emotional pain. Maybe it's a memory. And as you breathe and you feel, tune in and ask God, what do you have to say to me about this? Maybe you hear, I am with you. I am here to comfort you. I will never leave you. Maybe you hear this is old pain passed down to you from generations past. Maybe you hear you need to release some anger or let go of anxiety or unforgiveness. Maybe there is someone you have held unforgiveness towards, or maybe it's to yourself. And allow love to wash over you. Healing can be subtle. It can just be waves of love washing over you. It can be a major revelation, a major perspective shift or change. But whatever it is, it's personal. It's with you, it's with God, drawing us closer to love. And just let Ben play for a little bit. You can just keep staying in this state if you like, and I'd like to invite the music team to come up and play their final song.